Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts, the host of the Low Carb Athlete, bringing you one of my new quick and short solo podcast recordings to help you learn how to fuel better, perform better, and live better life. As I wanted to share a story with you that I did my first half marathon in San Diego on Sunday, which is July 18th. And first race with COVID kind of slowing down here, ending in our pandemic in San Diego. And I think all these races are rescheduled. I'm new here. We just moved from Seattle, as most of you know by now. Last June, made the big change from Seattle to north of San Diego, outside or east of Solana Beach. Rancho Santa Fe is right out there below me, and I am now entering in the race world in San Diego, North San Diego, Southern California, and excited. But it's been a while. It's been, I think, last half marathon I did was in 2018. And if you know my story, life is not a race, it is a journey. And have followed me since the podcast started, oh my gosh, 10 years ago with Fit, Fat, Fast. I used to host with John Smith, and I started that podcast and did 100 episodes, and he left, and I continued on with Brock Armstrong and kind of took it over by myself because all my co-hosts left me. And now 10 years later, the Low Carb Athlete podcast, I have different guests on the show talking about health because I broke myself down, burned out my body systems, and haven't been able to race like I did this Sunday. Was just finishing, wasn't really racing, setting any PRs, but it's about sharing my journey with you so you avoid going through what happened to me starting in 2013. And I was a competitive top age group athlete, and I was competing in marathons, 50K trail runs, and lots of triathlons and Ironmans I did for many years. Starting back in 2001 was my first Ironman Canada, and haven't been able to do an Ironman since 2012, and Hawaii was my last one. And since then, I've been trying to share my story, trying to teach you just because you're fit and healthy on the outside doesn't mean you're fit and healthy on the inside. So I just wanted to share a little story of my experiences on Sunday and things I'm going to do differently next race, because I do have another half marathon in August, which is going to be another hot, humid race. And even though I've done many races in hot weather, doing Ironman in Hawaii and other triathlons I've done in hot towns and summertime, I'm not really used to it. And there's different things that we can do to prepare our body for that. So I want to do a weekly show with you if you're interested in watching this YouTube channel, to just have me share some stories with you. I want to go into a deeper dive into fasting for athletes because I don't think there's a lot of information out there. And as I am coaching for Ben Greenfield now, I've got into studying all of his articles, research he's written and shared, and podcasts he's had done over the past few years, and putting those together, fasting for athletes, fasting for the female athlete, and then me who's turning somehow 5-0 this November, what I can do differently, or what should I do differently to improve my health, that fasting isn't another source of stress for my body. So I need to do things differently than what I hear in a lot of the success stories. Same with keto, low carb, fasting. It's a lot of it's for men, and then men and women who aren't training as much as we are. So anyways, I'm going to just focus today, not getting on too many tangents, but just kind of about my re-entry into racing on Sunday. I did my first half marathon, not even a full. I don't know if I can even do a full anymore. I've done so many races over my years, starting back in 2000, I think was my first marathon. And I used to do Carlsbad half marathon. I used to take clients here every year to San Diego, Carlsbad in January. And that's the last half I think I did, 2018. So I've done some races for fun, but nothing really competitive because my body hasn't let me do that since my metabolic chaos started in 2013. Pretty much March 2013 is when my health started to unravel. And I haven't felt my best until recently because I was always taking one step forward, two steps back, trying to return to racing. And my body just wasn't able to do it for multiple reasons. What functional lab testing kind of revealed some hidden internal sources of chronic stress that were probably always putting me back a little bit more. But since I've learned about my body's reaction to different stressors, burnout, and breakdown in my body systems, I've really learned what we might be doing wrong, that we might think we're doing all the right things. And I have a lot of new clients come to me that are doing the fasting, doing the low carb, getting in nutritional ketos, but they're exercising a lot. Maybe they're females and their hormones are just dysregulated. They're reaching menopause. Maybe they are under a lot of life stress. Everyone's a unique individual. And I think it's really important lesson to learn that everything's going to be a little different for you. It's not one size fits all. It's just kind of a template to start with. But my motto now is more focused on less is more. Less is more. More is not better. That Goldilocks effect is different for everyone. That right amount, not too much, not too little. Find that right dose of stress. It's going to give you the benefit. And, as I said, I was doing fasted morning workouts for years. I started doing Maffetone heart rate training back in 2001. I learned how to do heart rate training with one of the main founders, Sally Edwards. I trained with Mark Allen. I listened to Maffetone, gosh, when I started 2001. And then once I did USA Triathlon certification for coaching, I listened to Bob Seebehor about low heart rate, metabolic efficiency, and not doing all the gels and sugars everyone told us to do. So I switched my mindset and how I was training and performing for endurance events. As I said, at a marathon starting in 2000, I started doing Ironmans 2001. And I started doing the low carb work and doing fasted workouts probably 2008, 2009, whenever I did USAT certification, started making that switch and wrote about some of that in my book, Life Isn't a Race. And my manual, the holistic manual, talks about all the 8 elements that we really should be addressing when we're trying to improve our ability to burn fat and improve performance and longevity. But anyways, I digress. I wanted to just share with you about my half marathon yesterday, Sunday, and what I used to do was a fasted morning workouts. I was doing bulletproof coffee. I was doing the low heart rate training and speed work. I did strength training. I did HIIT training in my fitness studio I owned for 10 years, yoga for my active recovery days, and swimming. But it's funny, I look back yesterday, I was thinking, gosh, I was doing low carb and I was probably nutritional ketosis, but we didn't really know what that was back then when I started fasting, intermittent fasting. We didn't know that was what was going on. We didn't test with Keto Mojo. A lot has changed over the past, 10 years, 15 years. And now, going back from 2005, 2006, 2008, when I was, experimenting with all this, now we're in 2021 and racing yesterday, just watching how much has changed and not changed over the years. I've raced 25 years and it's still people are eating sugar and all this garbage and processed foods, and you see them at the race packet pickup the day before the race finish line. There's a lot of garbage. I think a lot of athletes think that because they did a race, because they're running or they do any type of workout, no matter what sport, they can eat whatever they want. We feel like we're invincible because we exercise and it gives us permission to eat whatever we wish. And that's not the case. The inflammation that we create in our body from overtraining, from eating white flour, refined sugar, having those vegetable oils, they are increasing the stress on our body. We want to reduce inflammation, the oxidative stress. So we want to improve the aging process and longevity. So, we really want to look at what we're doing in our training, how we're sleeping, how we're moving throughout the day, and all the elements I talk about in my program, the Holistic Method. But really, look at racing, why we're racing, why we want to get to that start line and get to the finish line. It's fun. I mean, I haven't raced, no one has raced last year and a half. So it was fun to be with people. There's 5,000 people and there's a lot of excitement. And I was out of practice. I haven't really found what my pace is now. And I have been doing long training runs on Sundays. We have been doing speed work on Wednesdays. And I have been, building up last year and a half since we moved here, long runs, doing run, walk, run, walk, run, walk, and then running longer, and then working towards running and then running faster the second half. So I've been doing different heart rate workouts and trying to build that up. And now, since the gym's open a couple months ago, starting to lift weights, and that really helps my performance. But there's some areas of opportunity I found that I could add in. And I think, being a low carb athlete, I'm learning also what should I fuel with, because we can learn that fasting too much can be stress for women. Female athletes may do better having a little bit of fuel before their workout, where men might do a little better eating afterwards. But that's for training. What about race day? And I knew my heart rate would be higher. So we hear the saying of train low, race high. Well, I can do fasted workouts when my heart rate's down low because I'm burning fat. But I knew this race, running a fast half marathon, even though I was trying to keep low, slower, more comfortable pace for the first 8 miles, the last part, I want to hit it and try to speed up the last 5 miles, knowing that last 2 miles were downhill helped a little better. But we also have to have our plan B, because this race was a humid morning. It was 70 degrees at 7 a.m. and it was really warm. And so I wrote a blog all about it. You can dive into my blog. I'll share in the link here. But I did start the morning making French press coffee that I normally do. And I've been doing mud water coffee, adding that into it. And I did add it into the blender and a little splash of heavy cream, which I normally do. But then I added some grass-fed butter and a little MCT oil that I do sometimes before long workouts. And this is what I used to do for years and stopped doing it because I was doing it too much. I was drinking too much bulletproof coffee. So I did for my race because I find I don't like to eat solid food before a race, and I wanted to easily digest it, and heavy food just sits there. I have a slow digestion process. So solid foods were not what I was looking for. So I did the fat coffee. And then I've been watching the social media, Instagram with Dr. Nicole, I can't say his last name, but he wrote the author of the Mineral Fix. And he had a great little video that I shared that when you're training or racing in high heat, hotter exercise days, having a preload 90 minutes before the workout of 2,000 milligrams of sodium, and then adding 5 grams of glycine into water, 90 minutes, sip on that 90 minutes before you work out. So I've been trying that. So nothing ever new race day. I didn't do anything new. I just experimenting past few weeks, having this extra glycine. I ordered a bag of it on Amazon. Been doing it before bed, trying to do 5 scoops in water. But again, I have slow digestion. So if I drink too much liquids and supplements, they don't move properly down south. They sit there and I take a while to digest even liquids. So the Mineral Fix is sodium and the glycine 90 minutes before water, having that element, LMNT. I added 1 pack of that. So that's only about 1,000 milligrams sodium. So I should have 2 of them in there next time because it was hot and I dehydrated. You'll find out, get dehydrated. So I added a scoop of canned aminos in that as well. So I had my mud coffee and then I was sipping on my Mineral Fix drink. And then I got to the race 30 minutes before the start. I brought Vespa. So Vespa is something I've been trying. Peter Defty and I did lots of videos and podcasts last year. You can look up, but he represents Vespa and is an investor in it. And he runs Optimal Fat Metabolism, OFM. So I'll put the link in the show notes for that link. But Vespa helps you utilize fat for fuel. So it's a big one for endurance athletes and stimulates muscle fat utilization, conserves muscle glycogen, an important part of our nutrition plan. Also says Vespa works by encouraging the muscles to metabolize fat, thus stabilizing, conserving glycogen levels by tapping into this plentiful and readily available energy source. Glycogen levels can be maintained and blood lactate levels are reduced, resulting in greater endurance, mental clarity, motor coordination, and accelerated recovery. So I've been doing Vesta before my long run. So again, nothing new race day. And I'll put the link in show notes. They gave me a 15% off coupon code you can use, the low carb athlete, save 15% off on vespapower.com. Anyway, so after the race, we always get there early. We walk far, park far away so we could walk far to get to the race start. Good warm up. Also helps after the race, long cool down afterwards. And I won't go on too long, but I wanted to, it was humid and I didn't bring anything with me. I thought water would be every mile. It was every 2 miles. And they had Ultima on the course and water. And Ultima was like 2 or 3 of the stations. So basically, I got dehydrated. Lesson learned for next time to use my fuel belt, load it with LMNT salts in both bottles, freeze it overnight, and then have it more concentrated form so I can sip on it during the race. I've done this for Ironmans, not with LMNT because it wasn't out yet, but having my fuel belt, I drink so much water. It's hot weather, and that's what I would do in Ironman Hawaii all the time. I would do ice and Gatorade or on a race course every mile. In Ironman, we'd have aid station, but this race, there was every 2 miles pretty much. So not enough electrolytes. The next time I need to bring my own. There's little bottles you get at conferences, Redmond Real Salt, and they're really good to just shove in your pocket or even down your side of your top for women. But it's a great thing we do at Base Salts does in Ironman Hawaii. You lick your finger and then touch the salt, and then you can just get that salted little dose in your mouth. So I would do that next time in a hot weather race. Back in the day when I was doing Ironmans, I'd take little pill bags you can get at the pharmacy and put them, I do, and Hammer Nutrition back then, and I do electrolytes, some aminos, and Race Cap Supreme, and I take those every hour on a bike ride in Ironman. So I might experiment that in a half marathon, even though it's definitely not as long as an Ironman. But anyways, I always think you should have a race plan. Here's plan A, here's plan B. Plan A, I was going to, go out, pick it up the last 5 miles, and I get a split, work on some little faster pace towards the end, and finish strong. Well, it was hot, and I haven't really ran that long a distance that fast for a long time. And I'm still about 20, 30 minutes off my PRs where I used to always train and race. And so I have some work to do, but I always have to remember that less is more and that I should be happy where I am, happy and satisfied that I finished a half marathon, happy that we're able to race again, and just finding joy and gratitude in everything. I've been writing my journal every night for over a year and a half now, 3 things I'm grateful for this day. And it was be able to race again, being able to run. I don't have knees bone on bone or bad ankles like some friends do. I am actually able to run, not as fast as I want to, but I should be happy I'm just out there and I don't have injuries. So I wrote my blog, post-race, secrets to recovery, post-race recovery, walking, having the mineral water. Big thing I'll throw in here too is not to eat right afterwards. All these people are eating the chips and junk that's in that bag that they give you at the finish line. We've learned to pack our bag in the car with ice blocks, have this Rishi chocolate milk that's really good quality. I'll find a picture of it, put the link in the show notes. Also, I wait to eat anything. And I have mineral water and maybe coffee, cold brew. And then I waited a couple hours. It wasn't until like 3 hours later I got lunch and I wasn't hungry. I can't eat afterwards because think you're in that fight or flight sympathetic nervous system. And how are you supposed to put food in your body that you have to chew and digest when your body's in sympathetic, when to digest is the parasympathetic nervous system. So all those people that try eating right afterwards, it might not be the best thing. Wait until your body, hydrate, get mineral water if you can, and wait to eat that solid food until you're able to. And then later on in the day, I have this new little leaky gut repair shake I make. So I take some colostrum on an empty stomach morning and night, but in my shake I have some glutamine, aminos, that glycine, have some greens like athletic greens. I have some turmeric bone broth shake, and just kind of mix it with a half avocado, maybe some MCT oil, ice and water, and I blend that all up. And I have this new BioOptimizers has a new leaky gut orange creamsicle flavor powder that is good too for gut repair. So I'll put the links in my blog about how we can increase our permeable gut wall lining. So we increase the chance to get leaky gut by racing and training in the heat. So that's kind of how Ben Greenfield got into colostrum and taken that. So there's really good research on that. So that was all for now. I just want to kind of give some observations on the race course. People are on their cell phones these days when they're running a race. Just get rid of all that stuff. Focus on the environment, running, and get off all your gadgets when you're in a race. So I know it's fun, but I don't know, it seems kind of crazy. And then I want to dive into next time more about women, what they should eat before a workout, and men, if they should eat before or wait till after, and some of this research, as well as optimal fat metabolism with Peter Defty to talk about carb timing, training low carbs, and then race day, depending on, this is a short race, but going longer, that you can tolerate a lot more carbohydrates when you're a fat adapted. And it's kind of like rocket fuel. So let me know what questions and comments you have as I record these new podcasts for YouTube on the Low Carb Athlete podcast to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve your performance. So talk to you next time from the Glass House. Have a great day.